Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the numerology and the energy of September 2021. We're going to take a look initially at the energies that may surface for the collective, which we're all a part of, and then we'll take a deeper dive into your personal life path number. So let's go ahead and get started. So September is a 14-5 energy, which of course boils down to a 5 energetic cycle. But that 14 is influential, okay? So we need to keep that in mind, and I'm going to touch on the energies of the 14 as we move through the reading. But ultimately, this is a 5 energetic cycle. So we have a 5 universal year that we're currently moving through in 2021. And now that 5 energy is enhanced by a 5 universal month. So we can expect great changes that occur abruptly and without much notice. So if ever there were a time to be flexible and full of grace for self and others, it's during a 5 universal year coupled with a 5 universal month. So buckle up, baby, because it's about to get bumpy. But in a good way. Okay, so things under a 5 energy move very, very quickly because it's a fast-moving energy, right? So you may see incredible shifts and transformations within your life at this time. You may never have even seen these shifts coming, right? They just seem to come out of nowhere. This energy can sort of see people completely uprooting or changing their entire life story within the blink of an eye. This energy can often feel like a sort of greater power or higher power is sort of taking the wheel and taking over, and life is almost happening to you. Generally, where this ride takes you will lead you to the realization of, oh wow, I never would have thought to do that or to be this, but I'm so glad that I did, right? So it's like, again, it's like this higher power swoops in and hits fast forward on the story, and where you end up, you ultimately realize is a perfect place for you at that time, if that makes sense, right? So that realization may take some time to get to, but understand that when these big shifts come in, they come in to assist, not to penalize. This isn't vindictive energy, it's transformational. Both can feel incredibly challenging, right? To go through. So when someone's being vindictive, that's a challenging energy to go through. When you're going through some kind of transformation, that is also incredibly challenging at times. So however, the transformational energy will leave you in a better place from where you started. So you just need to keep that in mind. Whatever challenges you face, whatever you're going through, during this 5 energy that is transformational will leave you in a better place than where you started, okay? Even if it takes a little bit of time. So try not to fight this energy, but rather move with it and work with it the best that you can, okay? So speaking of the 14, remember I said 14 is going to have an influence in this energy because it's the influencing number to the 5. So under the influence of the 14, there's this emphasis placed on modification. So life may feel like it's happening to you at times, but you can always find ways to modify or work with the energy to make it work for you without fighting it. It's very possible that the modifications that come up for you at this time to be explored or, expanded upon are modifications to self, to relationships, to career, and to lifestyle that have needed to be adjusted for a while. So this isn't necessarily going to blindside you or be surprising, although for some people it might be, right? It might be one of those things where you're sort of stuck in your comfort zone, stuck in a relationship that's toxic, stuck in a belief system or a lifestyle that's toxic, and you don't realize that it needs to be modified or changed. So it might blindside you, right? It might come in quite swiftly and abruptly, and those modifications might be made. And again, it could feel like a whirlwind. But for the most part, these are going to be things where you kind of knew, you had some kind of a sense that they needed to go away, they needed to change, they needed to be modified, right? And chances are you've known that for a while. So this sort of double dose of 5 energy this month from the 2021 Universal 5 cycle year, and now this September 5 energy, is simply giving you the gentle shove in the direction you need to be facing, right? So that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean it's going to be without its challenges. However, the struggles and challenges that you face and overcome during this time, or at least they're initiated during this time, through these modifications, will prepare you greatly for the magnificence you're about to step into, right? So again, it's like, it can feel challenging in the moment, but you just have to keep in mind, why is this happening? Why is this coming in? What is this challenge trying to show me? Try to ask yourself as often as possible, what is this challenge trying to show me? What am I meant to learn? Right? Why is this modification coming in now? Where is it trying to take me to, and why is it trying to move me beyond the space, right? Because there's always going to be, an answer there. There's always going to be wisdom to extract from that experience, no matter how challenging. And oftentimes the more challenging, the more wisdom to pull from it. So it's the wisdom of the experience that we're meant to carry with us, not the experience itself, right? Sometimes we get stuck up on the experience where we're like, oh, that really sucked, and now I'm going to think about it and complain about it and, sort of fret about it for the next 10 years. Whereas really what the universe is trying to get us to do is to extract the wisdom from that challenging experience and move freely forward, as opposed to trying to lug that whole experience with us forward and sort of replay it, rehash it, hold a grudge, whatever the case may be. So this is going to be a really quick moving, fast energy, with a lot of transformations, right? And so through that experience, not only are we meant to move ourselves through it and adapt, but we're meant to pull the wisdom from the experience, okay? So a lot going on this month. It's a very intense month. It's a very intense year, right? So I don't really see things slowing down until we get into 2022 at least, right? So if you're looking for a breather, you're probably not going to get it right away, but that's okay, because we're all in the same boat. This is universal energy, so we're all feeling this, baby. So again, proper handling of this 14-5 energetic vibration can produce great wisdom and understanding in your experience. 5 energy can be that of again, a testing nature. It's going to test us. It's going to sort of force us to take a closer look at the challenge, the situation, the modification, and where can we extract the wisdom. It's what we choose to do with this energy that will ultimately determine our overall experience, not only now, but moving forward. And so again, we have a lot of responsibility, but with great power comes great responsibility. So a 5 energetic cycle is also a perfect time to sort of check in with yourself. This is a checkpoint. See where any imbalances lie. What's working? What isn't? Where do I need to make modifications? What do I need to invest more into? So in numerology, where 1 energy is the beginning or the initiation, and 9 energy the completion or the ending, 5 energy sits in the middle, and it's the checkpoint. It creates the space and the opportunity to make the necessary changes needed before continuing on in the journey, to make certain that the direction we're moving in is the direction we actually want to be a part of, right? You don't want to get all the way to the 9 energy and be like, oh crud, I should have switched directions way back at that 5 energy. And so a lot of times the 5 energy doesn't force our hand. We always have choice, right? But it will make things very challenging or uncomfortable to help you see what you need to see, right? And so think of this as the checkpoint. This is why we can often see so many intense and abrupt changes, occur during a 5 cycle, because some of these changes we choose, Some of those changes are created for us by a higher power, but all serving to keep us aligned with our soul's highest mission in this lifetime. So the ego craves safety, security, comfort, and the known. The soul came here for so much more, right? If something feels as though it's being uprooted now, taken away, or there's a sense of upheaval, understand that true change is messy and chaotic at times, but on the other side of that chaos sits harmony, sits balance. So we can also see this playing out on the world stage quite dramatically at this time. So much change has to happen at this time in history, and it's during a 5 cycle that it can appear to be the most chaotic and the most messy. So by dismantling that which is no longer working, that takes some level of destruction and chaos, right, before the calm can enter. So that which is being dismantled often won't go without a fight, but it'll eventually lose steam and recede, right? And that's kind of, like I said, that's what we're seeing sort of play out on the world stage. We really started to see that in the 4 cycle of 2020. And now it's really coming to accumulation during this 5 cycle of 2021. And so I suspect that in September, we're going to see even greater manifestations of that chaos, of that dismantling, of those changes. Maybe not the change happening right away, but where it's highlighted where the change needs to happen. It becomes the front and center. There's no more denying it, right? So this 5 energy will ultimately teach us that the less we resist the change, the more comfortable the process of the change will feel and become. The more we resist the modifications and try to cling to what's no longer needed or no longer working, especially when it's harmful to ourselves or others, then the messier and the more challenging the experience becomes for all involved. So 5 energy teaches us to be flexible, to be adaptable to the inevitable changes and transformations that, it brings into our lives and that we ultimately face throughout our journeys. So allow September and this 5 energy to show you where modifications are needed within your life. Allow whatever changes that sweep in, to highlight for you where something was no longer working and needed an overhaul. If these changes aren't happening directly to you, perhaps you can hold space for those who find themselves immersed within this 5 energy. Perhaps you'll need to be the one creating the change in another person's experience, right? And so regardless, move as gently as possible and take full advantage of this incredibly transformational energy. It's here to help us with swift precision. So keywords this month to keep in mind as you move through this energy, perhaps it can be your mantra, is modification and adaptability. What do I need to modify and how can I be adaptable through the modification? Because I can almost guarantee that there's going to be a lot of modification either taking place this month or highlighted where it needs to take place. And then we're going to start to see that happening. And so the more adaptable that we can be, the more open we can be to the change, the more comfortable the experience will be, and the more that we will gain from the experience. Okay? All right, let's take a closer look at the life path number. Life path number 4. So I pulled an animal spirit card for us. I am also a life path number 4. And we got squirrel spirit. And so I feel like the message with squirrel is, first of all, this kind of feels around finances, career, resources, something along those natures, geez, I can't even speak. But squirrel is coming in to say that this is going to be a very busy month. This is going to be a very fast moving month. This is going to be a month where there's going to be a lot of moving parts. And it will be easy for us to sort of get caught up in the momentum and lose sight of the details. And so for 4s, that's sometimes challenging to do because, that's part of our essence, is doing things methodically, doing things step by step, making things, things are very practical, getting things done the way they're meant to get done type thing, right? It's like, we have very good work ethics for the most part. But I feel like things are going to pick up very, very quickly in September. And the pace can be that one of that kind of makes it difficult to I guess keep your finger on the pulse of everything, right? And so just try to find opportunities to slow down, to rest, to rejuvenate, to recharge. However you can do that, because I do feel like this is going to be very fast moving energy, and I think it would be easy for things to kind of slip through the cracks. And of course, being a 4, you're just going to have to go back and redo it. And so, it's just that message, I think, to slow down, do it right the first time type thing. Try to, use your time management skills and all of that to really make sure that, again, you're not skipping over steps or doing things too quickly to where you're going to have to go back and do cleanup work, if that makes sense. And that's really coming through really strongly. So you may find this month that your email, blows up. You've got like millions of messages coming in. You've got influx of clients. Maybe somebody leaves your work and you have to pick up the slack. Maybe you get a big promotion. There could be a million different things that go on here, but definitely getting like this surge of energy. So there's definitely this feeling of like things going really, really quickly. And there's also this sense too of, how do I put this? So like with a squirrel, they're busy all year gathering their nuts, gathering their food for the winter. Now, be mindful of where, if you're doing that, if you are like trying to like save for a rainy day or something like that, don't lose sight of if you're throwing yourself sort of into deprivation mode. You see what I'm saying? Almost like if the squirrel buries all the nuts in different places because they want to make sure they have enough, and they don't want it to get stolen, so they spread their food out to a million different places, and then they forget where they hid it, so they actually end up losing out. You see what I'm saying? So let that be a metaphor for maybe like if you are sort of hoarding your resources, your money, whatever the case may be, to the point of deprivation, to the point of where you're like missing out on an experience because you don't want to spend that money, right? You know what I mean? So if that resonates for you, then go for it. And I'm actually going to use a personal example because this is so relevant. Last week I came across a book that was very life-changing for me. If you want to hear what it is, then sign up for my newsletter because I'll be sharing that. But I found this book, it was life-changing, and then there's a corresponding workshop that goes with the book. But the workshop is like $600. And I'm a Life Path 4, I'm also a Capricorn Sun. And so I was like really struggling with spending $600 for 2 days. But it kept coming into my awareness. It kept coming in. And I finally followed my intuition and just went ahead and splurged and purchased the workshop, right? And so I don't know how it's going to go yet because it's next weekend. But my point being, I feel like if I would have talked myself out of it, I would have been missing out on something really kind of important in my next step, right? The next part of my journey. And so that's kind of my point when I talk about that with squirrel spirit with you all, is if there's something that keeps coming into your awareness, and even if it costs more than what you would normally spend on something, if it feels aligned and it feels like there's something bigger to it, I would say take the risk and do it and spend the money, right? Don't be necessarily like squirrel in the sense that you hoard your money and go into deprivation mode, and then you forget where you put that money and you lose out anyway. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say. So anyway, that's coming through from squirrel, and also about, making sure you have time this month to rest and recoup and rejuvenate. Okay, so I pulled 4 weeks worth of energy to kind of see what we'd be working with. I broke the month down into 4 weeks. first week we have this energy of, this is actually really, really beautiful energy. Actually, the whole month is really, really beautiful energy. But we have this first week just a lot of joy, a lot of beautiful, positive things coming in, almost like just being showered with gifts from the universe is what this feels like. This feels like emotionally just overjoyed. So I don't know, this could be like a relationship coming in, getting a promotion, getting a ton of clients, getting the yes on a project. Again, this just feels so incredibly emotionally fulfilling and joyful. Maybe you're starting a family, you find out you're pregnant, you're having a baby, this is just those gifts from the divine that just fill you up. And I'm seeing just across the board that first week of September that coming in incredibly strongly. So allow yourself to feel that, right? Like allow yourself to feel whatever comes in for you, the joy, the emotion, just relish in that. Definitely seeing very, very supportive, positive energy. It's almost like you get a big win, a big yes to something that you've been working really hard towards or wanting or whatever the case may be, but you get a yes and it's very emotionally fulfilling. And instead of just sort of being like, oh, yay me, let's move on to the next thing now because there's work to be done, right? Allow yourself the time to enjoy that win. You've earned it, you've worked for it, you've done the effort, right? And one thing that's true for fours is the process can be long, right? It can take a long time to get to the fruition, to the completion. And I feel like for so many of us, we're like there where we're going to start seeing some of those things come to fruition, to come to completion. And when we get that win, we need to celebrate it. We need to enjoy it because fours, the work that you put in, the effort that you put in, you will be rewarded in direct proportion to that effort. So if you've put in an incredible amount of effort into something, you've worked really hard towards something, and you've done it in integrity, you're going to see a reward. And I feel like that can be coming in around this first week of September. This is beautiful, beautiful energy. The only thing I would say is just make sure you give yourself time to enjoy it. Because I do also feel like with whatever this is going to sort of bring more responsibility, bring more things to the table, you see? So it's kind of like I can see how it'd be easy to skip over it and be like, oh, yay me, on to the next thing. But give yourself the time to really see how far you've come, what you have accomplished, and don't just skip over that part because that's really important as well. The second week, this is interesting because it's almost like you're getting some kind of, again, it's almost like there's some kind of offer coming in, some kind of yes to a project or something that you're working on, or a promotion or something like that has to do with financial stability, financial security, resources, something like that. But it feels like somebody coming to you with an offer. It could be like a business partner or something like that, but it feels sort of like a promotion or getting a new job with maybe a different company, but that's more aligned for you emotionally and feels more fulfilling. But that also comes with like, a good paycheck type thing where there's like an equal exchange of energy. So that feels really good as well. And it's sort of like if there's something that you were waiting on funding for, or, maybe you get some kind of inheritance or something like that, and that allows you to do something that's more fulfilling for you or more aligned with whatever it is that you want to focus your energy on. But it's like the money is there, the resources are there. And I think that comes in pretty strongly around this second week. So that looks like a big win as well. So far we've got just incredible energies coming in September. And again, with that big win, with that funding, with that, promotion or whatever, can come an increase in responsibility. So we can see how squirrel's energy is like all throughout this reading. The third week, this is interesting because I really get this sense of completion and in this third week of something you've been working on for a really long time. It's not necessarily like it's ending. It's just like you've been climbing up this mountain for so long and you finally reach summit, and it's like, you just kind of collapse because the trek there was so arduous. And so I just kind of see this energy of like I said, you kind of climb the mountain, you get to the summit, and now you just sort of take that time to rest. You're not working right now, you're going within, you're sort of recalibrating. Again, with that 5 energy of September, this is a checkpoint energy. This is a time to check in with yourself, to make sure that you have what it takes to go full steam ahead, that you can accept whatever this promotion is or this offer is, without completely depleting yourself, right? So this is going to be a checkpoint time. And I feel like this 3rd week is the time that you really need to focus on that. This is going to be a time for maybe being a little bit more reclusive, for going inward, for resting. That's a big one coming through around this 3rd week. So again, it could be that like the first couple weeks are just so intense that you just need time now to rest, and take it where you can get it. Maybe you can't take the whole week off, right? Sure. But are there times where you can create your own little sanctuary within your home or around your home or, in your neighborhood, where you can go there and get away for 30 minutes, 5 minutes, preferably longer, right? And recalibrate, to rest, to be with yourself. I think that's going to be really, really important, especially if anything comes up around this time that has you where you need to make some kind of a decision, or you're in contemplation, something like that. As opposed to going to the external for the answer, this is going to be definitely a time to go within, to use those intuitive, that intuitive resource of your inner compass, right? To figure out what you need to do, because that's where you're going to get the most insight. That's where you're going to get the most clarity. But I definitely see rest is going to be required around this 3rd week. It could be that if you don't slow yourself down this 3rd week, the universe will do it for you. And so you may see something crop up around health or something like that. But take the invitation, like slow down and recoup at this time. And there may be some things that you need to just release, right? And so that you don't burn out. And that's okay too. You'll figure that out. So 3rd week definitely feels very more going within, finding the stillness, closing, disconnecting. If you can disconnect in some way and unplug, this would be the time to do it for sure. I think that you're going to, the rewards for that are going to be great if you can do that. Okay. So the 4th week, this is interesting because again, this month is just incredible for 4s. This 4th week, we see almost like you looking to the horizon for a new adventure, a new opportunity. And like I said, I feel like you're going to have insight into whatever that is, like this new opportunity, this new insight, the beginning of the month. And then towards the end of the month is when you actually start that process. Maybe you start the new job. Maybe you start working on this new project. Maybe, this is when you start, working with these new clients or whatever the case may be. Or if it's a relationship, this is like when the relationship, you meet for the first time, or, you get your first sonogram, or I don't know, it's like, this is where it all kind of starts, like actually happening, and just brings you an incredible amount of joy and security and happiness. I'm definitely getting that feeling of like support, like it feels like whatever this is, this new endeavor that you're doing, is very supported by family, friends, loved ones, your community. You're the company you work for, whatever the case may be, but it's very beautiful energy. It's very supportive energy. And I sort of see you looking to the future, ready to take on this new adventure, ready to take on this new project and really throw yourself into it. I feel like that 3rd week is giving you sort of that rejuvenating energy that you need after you sort of hear about whatever this is. And then the 4th week is you actually making the plans and taking action and going into it. And like I said, it feels very supportive. This could also be someone, if you get a job offer overseas and you have to uproot your whole family and move overseas, I think you'll be surprised at how supportive your family is of this move. Because again, I'm just getting this really supportive energy. I'm definitely getting like a sort of like the world is your oyster type of situation where it's like, okay, what do you want to do with this? And think big, right? Go big. And I do feel like it's going to be supported. So hopefully this is helpful. Like I said, the big key is, I feel like it's going to be a busy month. I feel like it's going to be a very rewarding month. We just have to remember to take time out to, even if you have to force yourself to take time out and just rest or go within or unplug, right? Whatever you need to do to come back to self, I think that's going to be really important this month as your sort of true north, as your like guiding light, coming back to yourself to allow your soul to guide you, because the rest is going to fall into place. Like the rest is going to come to you. You just have to have the openness and awareness for when it arrives, right? And you're going to do that through the rest and rejuvenation and checking in with yourself. So powerful month this month. I think this looks incredible. I'm excited because I'm a 4. I'm ready for some of this goodness. So let's bring it on. But anyway, I hope it's a great month for you all. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.